Hey, welcome to another Michael Jackson synchronicity and message from me, Cheryl, the healing dancer. This is a series of videos that I just do every time I have a Michael Jackson synchronicity. And that's basically just me walking in somewhere, something happens, and Michael Jackson shows up energetically. And it's typically through his music. So if you're new, welcome. If you're not new, welcome. Thanks for watching. And I'm just going to point you back to the video I just did, which you'll see me dressed the same, about my synchronicity, walking through the farmer's market and the song Billie Jean. Excuse me. I'm going to ask you to kind of listen to that message first, because this is kind of goes hand in hand with each other. In that message, briefly, I talked about you living life on your terms and doing your life the way that you want to do it, listening to your intuition, listening to your gut, and not listening to the media and your friends and family, and allowing them to determine decisions and things that you need to do for your life and for you to live life on your terms. So it goes into much more detail. But this synchronicity, oh, and by the way, if you're watching this, like I said, I'm Cheryl, the healing dancer. I am an angel, guide, an energy healer and worker, creator and facilitator of Divinity In Motion Classes and workshops and events. I do a healing through dance class and angelic Reiki and readings monthly. Check out my social media pages that are in the description if you want to learn more about me and what I do, besides Michael Jackson synchronicities and just being a huge Michael Jackson fan and moonwalker. So getting back to it, this synchronicity happened a while ago, a few weeks before the Billie Jean one. And this was me meeting up with a friend at a coffee shop. At a coffee shop. Yes, I'm from New Jersey. And sometimes it comes out coffee. So we were meeting at a coffee shop. And as soon as we walked in the door, and just a warning, I like to give this warning, I do curse. I love Michael Jackson. I know that he did not curse very much, but I do. I'm just putting it out there. So the F-bomb and any other curse words might come out of my mouth. So if you're listening to this in public, you might want to put some earphones in. Just a warning, okay? Just in case. So we walk in through the front door into the coffee shop. And right away, Black or White comes on. And then, I think, black or white, I'm in a coffee shop. Do you want cream or not? No cream in your coffee. And just a little side note, my friend and I both drink it black. So, but as soon as we walked in, I was just like, I stopped and I'm like, oh my God, it's Michael Jackson. And I, like always, just get a big smile on my face. And my friend's looking at me like, and this is someone I just became friends with, and it's not someone I've been friends with for a very long time. So they do know I like Michael Jackson. Everybody knows I like Michael Jackson, but they don't know. They don't know. So this brought up him going, okay, so it's Michael Jackson playing. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand, every time I walk in somewhere new or I'm meeting up with someone, this happens all the time. And I'm like, and don't be surprised if you start hearing more Michael Jackson in your life and start to think of me, because that's what happens. So he started laughing, and then he starts talking about a friend of his who loves Michael Jackson and had a Michael Jackson impersonator at her 30th birthday party. I think it was her 30th birthday party. I might have heard that wrong, but anyway, it was a party where she had a Michael Jackson. It was her birthday and they had a Michael Jackson impersonator. And I was like, oh, so did I. At my 30th birthday party, my husband hired a Michael Jackson impersonator. It was the best birthday ever. Now, granted, I think it was like the year after he passed, but it was the best birthday ever. It was the closest I ever got to my dream of dancing with Michael Jackson. So it was just funny how like it just brought up more conversation about Michael. No, that's not the synchronicity or the message. I mean, that is a synchronicity. It's not the message that I want to deliver to you right now. So I just thought that was great. You know, I just loved, I have a shirt. I have to wear it one of these videos that says something about warning. I may start talking about Michael Jackson or Michael or something like that. I need to wear it more often because it's true. Because it's just, it lights me up just as much as like my healing through dance class or any kind of dancing lights me up. And I'll have to do a separate video sometime talking about, I will do a separate video. It'll be some part of another series, maybe part of my podcast that I'll start eventually on, you know, how I found Michael Jackson and when it started in my life. Because I just love to talk about that kind of thing. So anyway. So the message here with black or white as we know it is about like racism and all of that stuff. And I know racism is like a huge friggin' topic these days. And I'm not saying that like in a bad way, but it does get to the point where it's a little bit excessive. But the message here is not so much about racism. It is a little bit. It is a little bit about racism because racism can become part of a lot of things. So my friend and I are talking while we're having our coffee. And he brought up something about the only time he experienced racism in his life was, you know, in the profession that he's in. And then it brought me to the message of being a more understanding and tolerant person of other people that you might not agree with. And this has nothing to do with a conversation with my friend. It's just brought this to my mind as I went back to reflect on why I'm hearing black or white and what the message is and everything that happened that day or in that moment. There's a lot of division in the world and in our lives right now. There has been, this has been like the craziest 3 years, right? Has for me at least. It's been the craziest 3 years. And there's a lot of division in the world. And this is what's meant to happen right now because it's meant to show you what needs to happen. So when bad things happen, it's meant to wake people up to what needs to happen, to what growth needs to happen. And when we talk about black or white, and I'm just bringing this in right now when I'm hearing too, not everything is black and white, right? Not everything that you hear someone talk about or do, not every situation is black and white. So this is a message for you to recognize when someone in your life has a different opinion, a different belief, a different feeling, whatever it is, than what you so strongly feel they should be feeling. It's not anything what you believe, feel, or think that they should be feeling. When there's that divide, especially with someone that you love, be open to be able to look at it from their perspective, even if you can't find a way to agree. And I know I've said this before, but if this is with someone that you love, even if it's not, agree to disagree. If you want to keep the relationship, if you want to, if this is something that's going to divide you because you just cannot come around to it, then fine. But if you can find it in your heart to be more open and just agree to disagree with this person over whatever this hot topic is, excuse me, then life will be so much lighter, so much easier. Now, something that I've done where I've had some friends, family, where we don't agree on certain topics, we don't agree on certain things. We just agree to disagree and agree not to discuss those things when we are with each other. We agree to do other things that bring us joy and that make us closer together. Because if we get into those other topics, it's going to tear us apart. So if there is a relationship or someone in your life that you love very much, be the bigger person in the sense that you're just going to agree to disagree with whatever they believe and ask them that not to discuss these things when you guys are together, because it's putting a rift in your relationship. The message here also, and I said this in my last video, is to find out how you can come from a place of love. What would love do? How would love handle this situation? And agreeing to disagree is something that love would do. Agreeing to not talk about something that's heated. And I'm not talking about something, you know, like you need to have a difficult conversation with someone and you're avoiding it. That is definitely not what I'm talking about, because conversations do need to be had. But I'm mostly talking about when it comes to politics, religion, all the shit that's going on in the world right now. And you guys, you know, let's just bluntly say it, when it comes down to, you know, the right or the left, or I'm not even going to get into the pan thing and the, you know, the C word. Stop letting it divide you. Find love in your heart again. To just love that person as they are and what they believe. Because not everybody is going to wake up to where you are. Not everybody. But if you still want that person in your life, and you can tolerate them if they're not going to go against your boundaries and keep, you know, talking about shit, why not have that relationship and just agree to disagree and to not discuss it? Now, something else I want to talk about. Gosh, I don't even know if I want to bring this up. Hold on. There's a podcast called hold on, let me look it up real quick. I want to make sure I get this right, because if you haven't heard it, The Case for Innocence. Give me 1 second. Let me just pull it up real quick. It's a mom and a daughter. The Case for Innocence. Yes, it's about Michael Jackson. And you know what I'm talking about when I talk about The Case for Innocence, okay? It's an amazing podcast. So if you're not a Michael Jackson fan, but you're listening to this and you believe that he did those awful things that the media says that he did, you need to listen to the podcast, because it's actually changed a lot of people's minds that were set on the fact that they believe that he did what the media and everybody says that he did, what all of us fans have been trying to get out into the world since all that bullshit came up. So listen to the podcast, even if you are a Michael Jackson fan and you've already done the research. This does the research for you and puts it out there in simple human terms. So yeah. So I was listening to, right now they're talking about Wade Robson and his case. And I'm listening to it and I can feel the anger start to come up in me. So I take a step back. I pause it for a second and I ask, what would love do? And this might be hard for some fans to hear because, or even non-fans who believe what is not true, in my opinion. But when someone is lying in this capacity, and I'm just talking about this situation to kind of give my point here. When someone is lying about something like this is so awful that somebody would even do this to somebody, right? To lie and say that they are doing this to children for money. And that's what all of the cases were about, was money. And again, I'm not going to go into detail because you got to listen to the podcast. You got to listen to it. It's too much to go into detail here. So when I look at this and go, what would love do? I want to be angry at this person. I want to hate this person. I want to be so mad at him for making the person that I love the most, not the most, that I love so much, Michael Jackson, look like a monster. I want to hate this person. But what would love do? I look at him and go, what has he been through to bring him to the point of doing this to somebody? Can you imagine what his life was like to bring him to a point to do this to somebody? Now, I'm not saying that what he's doing is right. It is not. It is not. But again, who am I to judge whether it's right or wrong? Because I don't know his life. And even if I did know his life, this is happening because of how he grew up, of how he was taught to be, the kind of person he was groomed to be. And yes, you can change that about yourself, right? That's what I talked about in the last video, is living your life on your terms and what you want and not giving a shit when anybody else says that you should do. But this is just an example of how you can have love or send love to somebody and look at it in a different way without having hate or negativity in your heart. Because that's not good for you, to have hate and negativity in your heart. When someone's coming at you and being an asshole or a bitch and just really like laying into you, and it's like hurting your soul, whether you deserve it or not. Or, just basically if someone is being mean to you or has hurt you with their words or actions, you got to try to sometimes look at it as at a different perspective, as what is going on with that person. It has nothing to do with you. Yes, it might hurt. Yes, that person may not need to be in your life anymore, but it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with what is going on with them. Now, you can't say that to that person because that'll trigger them and it'll just lead to more bullshit. But you can take a step back and think about that instead of blowing up back at that person like they're blown up at you. There's so many different opinions that can go on with this kind of thing, but this is the message that I'm being guided to share with you, is that when somebody is not nice to you or does something that you feel is wrong, just take a step back and take a different look at it and think, what would love do? How can I still send love or have love for this person? And knowing that I don't know what they're going through right now. I don't know what they're dealing with or where they come from. So I'm just going to send them love. So, and that's what I did with Wade Robson. I hated him, disliked him for many years. was very hurt myself that he started this bullshit. But once I took a step back and said, you know, well, what the hell has he been through to bring him to this point? That sucks that it got to that point. But I hope that he can find healing. I hope that he can find love for himself again. And he can get back to a better place emotionally himself. I wish him well. And that's where I'm at. But this also took me years to get here. It's a lot of inner healing, a lot of forgiving yourself, a lot of working on inner shit that you have grown up with, that you came from. Some of us do the work, some of us don't. But no matter what life path you're on, it's the right one. It's the right one for you in this lifetime. So I hope they got my point across. I hope they got my message across. And yeah, I'm just going to leave it there. Black or white? What would love do? How can you look at this from a different perspective? How can you live in peace and harmony with someone who has different beliefs, different thoughts, different ways of looking at things? How can you agree to disagree and keep having that connection with that person? That's for you to figure out. I love you. Keep dancing your dance. I'll see ya in the next video.